big. Welcome. It is episode 2 of Powered 4 TV, Big Fight Weekly. We cover it fast, quick, boxing, MMA, quicker than Phileas Fogg around the world in a hot air balloon, Chris. And here is my co-host, Chris Hume. How are you, Chris?
Steve Coogan. Yeah, not bad. Yes, great, yeah.
I think this week, mate, obviously we will be talking and previewing UFC 259, but I'm going to start off with the boxing. Canelo versus Yildirim at super middleweight this week. What a one-sided affair that was. And, you know, I think the fans were just saying, why is Yildirim mandatory? He's mandatory with the boxing board. I don't know why people are up in arms. You know, Canelo obviously wanted to stay active. It was more so a tune-up fight ready for Billy Joe Saunders. But I just think Billy Joe probably needs a fight before May. I think he could do a tune-up because he last fought in December. But what do you think?
That's going to be a hard one now if they're going to throw it in May, aren't they? The fight was so one-sided. What was that Yadlin even in there for? He was getting peppered with those uppercuts and those uppercuts to the body over and over and over again. But he had nothing to give.
Todd Grisham and Sergio Mora, Sergio Mora boxed for years. Like, he needs to go for it. Yeah, and then he leaves himself even more open, and it's over and around. And the towel should have gone in well before, because he stumbled, he was gone, and then he's gone into the corner, and then they've just said, right, you're out. They could have made that decision a lot sooner. When you get
his coach was saying to him though, just in that, just before the round, they packed it in. He was like, right, you got to give me something here, or I'm going to call it. So he obviously called it. He should have stopped it after that 1-2 that Canelo did and dropped him. That was it then. It
was the ferocity and the power. It's just when he starts pounding the body, then he's working the head, and it's just he's too quick, and he's gone up the weights, Canelo. When you think where he was fighting originally, and he's worked his way up, and he's just got so much power. I still maintain. I think Billy Joe will need to get a fight in between, but it's not going to happen. He's going to have to go straight into it. I think Saunders could have done with a fight maybe, this weekend. They should have scheduled it just to get him in there, keep him fresh, getting in. But I don't know. It's odd. It was odd to me.
I'm sure they'll probably do mini fights, during training camp, and try and get what they can. I'm sure there's plenty of power punches out there they can use for Billy Joe. I was watching like someone made sort of like a mini documentary. They did it themselves between Canelo and Billy Joe. And it's quite contrast, really. You've got like your speed and your timing, haven't you, against a guy that can do the same but can hit you like a train.
Just for the record here as well, I'm not knocking Billy Joe Saunders.
No.
Canelo's not fought a guy, especially at super middle, like Billy Joe. I'm not saying Billy Joe's going to lose. Canelo's going to be heavy favourite, whatever happens. But I really think because he's not boxed that style, and it's that skill, speed. He's slick. Anything could happen on the night. And obviously, I want Billy Joe to beat him. We need to get him. We need to get him beat. He laid waste to Callum Smith at super middle, and Callum Smith was doing very well, but it was just a different class. But I do think with Billy Joe, I am not for a second saying he can't do it. You know me saying let's get a fight beforehand, ready for that one. I still maintain Billy Joe can give him something different that he's not had before.
Well, possibly, but I do like Billy Joe's bravado, a bit of smack talk. That Canelo doesn't seem like he's that type of guy. I did like it when he told the cameraman to F off during the press conference.
Canelo.
Yeah, and he's like turns around and he's like, F off. What are you doing here? But no, it's good for their fight where they can sort of build it up. And obviously Billy Joe's going to sell it because he seems like a guy that can, talk the talk.
He can talk the talk, and he's done it. I remember him at middleweight, and he's gone up to super middle. He's not fought with the frequency at super middle, but he's got the title. It's going to unify. It's going to be fantastic. It's only a couple of months away too, so we haven't got long to wait for it. Just to cut back to Saturday's fight as well, it was good. Obviously, with it being in Florida, there was 15,000 at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Dolphins Stadium. It was good. It was cool. It was cool to see, proper crowd involvement. No pipe can sound into the stadium.
Well, you can tell that with a football, though, can't you?
You
can tell the difference.
So
it makes a world of difference when you've got fans in the stadium, other than the audio fans per se.
That's it, man. That's it. Right. I'm now going to segue into UFC Fight Night. This previous Saturday, we previewed it last week. We're just going to cover the fight at heavyweight, a big heavyweight tilt, and it was Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Cyril Gane. I've got his name right. You were saying his name right. then you started calling him Cyril Gane.
It's your fault. I'll blame you. Yeah.
So this is for you, mate. I want to hear your take first, and I'm going to chime in.
Oof. Right. Well, obviously I stayed up and I watched it. Obviously, if you've obviously read the backlash of people saying that it was boring. Cyril Gane didn't do anything. Rozenstruik was boring, and he didn't do anything either. He was really on his back foot. I thought Cyril Gane was perfect. It's not a slugfest, and I think everyone's been a bit spoiled the last couple of events with heavyweights, haven't they? Really, I thought his game plan was perfect. He's not going to go in there and hang fire with someone that can knock you out with one punch. I don't see any reason for him to do that, and he did exactly what I said to you last week. He worked it out, and took the time and the space, and attacked him that way. You mean he hit Rozenstruik with a hell of a good jab in the first round and changed Rozenstruik's output the entire fight? Then you mean he took him down twice as well? So Do you know I picked up on Chris? I know obviously Rozenstruik's he's shorter, he's carrying more weight, isn't he? Cyril Gane's a bit taller, so he looks more streamlined at the weight. But he was bouncing around, whereas on his his stance, whereas Rozenstruik was very, very flat-footed. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I know he's different. I know he's not as quick. So obviously Cyril Gane's very quick with the strikes. So he's on his tiptoes almost. He was off
bouncing around. Yeah.
He was off his heels, trying to pick the shots, get the shots away.
He did what he needed to do to win the fight. I looked at. I've got the strike ratios between Rozenstruik and Gane here, right? So I've got strikes and significant strikes. Rozenstruik's just general strikes now were 49 to Gane's 128. And then Rozenstruik's significant strikes were 42 to Gane's 102. So
he's doubling. He's over doubling.
Yeah, he did what he had to do.
It's just crazy. So why is number one Dana White said he wasn't happy with that performance, and Michael Bisping, which I normally whatever Bisping says I normally agree with. Yeah. Why the criticism about it? He's fought that way because he could get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
What do you take away from that? Why are they being so negative about the way he did it? I thought it was perfect.
I think it's because it was in their eyes it's a bit lackluster. You know what I mean? Like again, they've been spoiled the last couple of weeks with Derek Lewis's knockout, and I think they look at it as like, well, you train with Francis Ngannou, so maybe you should go and do what he did to Rozenstruik. It's no easy feat. Not everybody has that one punch power, that Ngannou has. I thought his plan was excellent. He did what he needed to do. Okay, it's not fancy, and it wasn't, a massive knockout that's going to send shockwaves to the heavyweight. But what it does say is he can hang with the people that can bang hard, but he also is fast. You know what I mean? He can take you down. and he works you. And that going up now that's where Derek Lewis should be worried, because that's the fight to make now, and that makes sense. That makes sense. That needs to be done. Then you can maybe put Rosenstrike and Blades together. Then
I was just going to ask you then, where for Rosenstrike now, because that's 2 losses. So,
you give him Blades, or you can.
Is he still a player for you at heavyweight, Rosenstrike?
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah. He's not going to drop right down in terms of rankings.
So. No, I think if anything, I haven't looked at the rankings today, but I'd imagine he'd drop down maybe to 5th. He could still fight Volkov, who's just come off a win. I don't think he's fought Volkov. I know Blades and Derek Lewis have, and they've obviously beaten him, but he's looked impressive against Overeem. So maybe that's another fight you can put together. I mean, this whole, you can't put winners and losers together, but when fights make sense, and at the point where the heavyweight division's just about, it's starting to move now. We obviously got the younger breed coming in with the older breed, which are starting to flow down a bit. But yeah, there's loads of fights to be made. I think you can give Blades Rosenstrike, you can give Blades Volkov maybe for the second fight, or Rosenstrike. But the only way up now for Cyril Gane, because he can fight Derek Lewis, but then you don't have to rush that fight. Maybe put that on the same card as Ngannou and John Jones, or Ngannou Miocic when they fight. Makes sense.
It's that division, heavyweight. I don't think it's ever been as strong as it is now. I think there's more depth to that division. I'm waiting for your retort here now. You're looking at me as if to say no. The heavyweight division was strong years ago. Come on, I want to hear Chris's take.
No, but heavyweight division hasn't had one ruler, have they? You had your JDSs and you had the Cain Velasquez, and they ruled to a certain extent. They haven't defended the title. Well, Joe DeSantos had defended it once, didn't he? But Cain only got to 2 defenses. Miocic is the only person that surpassed a 3rd, which has always eluded every heavyweight champion. They can never defend it a 3rd time.
Which he took a loss to Cormier. And then you're thinking, wow, where's he got? And he came back. He's been fantastic. Who is the man in your eyes to dethrone Miocic out of the guys? I wanted to ask you this last week. We didn't get to Miocic because we're just going through the thing.
No, that's a good question. It's a really good question.
Just give me one guy. Just give me one guy, because I want to preview this week. So I want to preview UFC 259 in a minute.
He's fighting that one guy in a month's time. No, it's true, because that guy can knock you out, and I think he'd probably made a lot of adjustments.
Tell the viewers, mate, who it is.
Francis Ngannou, that Cyril Gane's training partner, is a murderer with one fist that just kills everyone. He's devastating. I know he takes one punch. I think he would have learned a lot from the first Miocic fight, and then obviously learned his loss against Derek Lewis, which was, equally, if you put Cyril Gane's and Rosenstrike's fight towards Derek Lewis's and Ngannou's, that was a terrible fight. They didn't even throw punches much, but he's learned a lot and he's come back. So I think obviously when we get to that fight, you'll see a complete different Ngannou than the first. But Miocic is top tier, heavyweight.
Right, perfectly, brilliantly done. Actually, UFC 259. We've got 3 title fights, and the first, which we'll start with the ladies. We've got the kingpin in the women's divisions. She's a 2-time. She's a double champion, but she's fighting at featherweight. She's taking on Megan Anderson. I knew full well when this fight was made what you would be thinking. It's just an absolute mismatch. This is not too dissimilar to Canelo and Yildirim. When you're going to look at an underdog and how far off. There's only one way this is going. Nunes is pound for pound best. She's in that, she's in that elite class. Why has Megan Anderson got the shot, Chris, in your mind?
That division's got nothing, has it really? It's like when Cyborg was up in the featherweight division for the ladies. You're spoon-fed people. There's no rankings in that division at all, is there?
Why are they not on a ranking system in there, man? What's the...
I don't think people are interested, are they? And it's you can't find so many ladies, and I no disrespect to them because there's a lot of really good lady fighters out there. There's no one that really up at that class. Yeah, you should have probably kept Cyborg and done a Nunes Cyborg too. That's interesting. Other than that, there's nothing much. Amanda Nunes' last fight was against Felicia Spencer. Yeah. And she took her down, smashed her up, and won the fight, decision. Megan Anderson's lost to Felicia Spencer, who had the reverse effect of getting taken down and smashed for the whole entire fight. And it just makes no sense to me. Megan Anderson, she's big and, she's bulky, really good knees, leg kicks.
I'm not being funny. You're getting in there with a pit bull in Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, you are.
And it doesn't matter. I don't really matter how big you are. She'll just go through you. But
I just don't. I just think it's a point. It's just a fight to make for Nunes' legacy. I don't really think that division should be. Well, it shouldn't exist because it doesn't make any sense. There's nobody there that's going to be in that division. But then again, really, in Nunes' other division, there's not many people there either. It's the Ronda Rousey situation where she's just ahead of everybody now. And then again, I'd like to see her against Valentina Shevchenko again because Shevchenko's much better than their last two fights they've had.
Why didn't they just make that fight again rather than throwing Megan Anderson to the wolf?
Well, we wouldn't be at featherweight because I don't think Shevchenko would make that weight. I don't know. It's not a fight that makes any sense to me. It's like I say, it's for Amanda Nunes to come in there and smash her, take her down because she's doing. She's learnt now. I think her last couple of fights she's been caught a few times and learnt now. I'll take them down and control it that way and just do the business on the floor there with the grappling. And hold her down, and beat her up that way. No, the thing is, you never know in UFC or MMA fights as well as boxing. You can get caught. She could put a knee right through the middle and win. You just don't know, but I can't see it.
And here again, Chris, I don't want to do a disservice to Megan Anderson. It's just
no, I don't want to.
You're going up against the pound for pound best, in women's terms, absolutely. So it's just, hey, we've seen it before. There's been shocks many times. You never know.
It's spoon fed for Nunes, but it's her. In a way, it's for her to lose. I don't see any difficulty in this. I think she'll take her down and she'll have her way with her, and then a unanimous decision win, easy.
And I think we're perfectly poised now to go into bantamweight, another title fight. We've got the 3 title fights. It is Peter Yan defending the gold against Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling's actually one of my favourite fighters in the current crop. And what your thoughts on that one? Where'd you see that fight going? Aljamain Sterling's not lost since 2017, losing to Marlon Moraes. Where can you see Aljamain beating him? Because Peter Yan is well respected. I've heard quite a lot of people saying about him. Where do you see the fight going, Chris?
Well, they used to call Aljamain Sterling the bantamweight John Jones back in the day. It's hard because you see with Peter Yan he's wily, he's a veteran. He's still young. Don't get me, he's in his late 20s, I think. But the way he can control a fight, and if you watch the Aldo fight, 6 weeks ago? Would you say 6 weeks ago? He thought Aldo was in it, and then all of a sudden he switches it. He's good at controlling the octagon in the center of the octagon, and he backs you up. Then he makes you fight his fight. Aljamain Sterling here it's got incredible wrestling. It's one of two things. Aljamain Sterling's got to play his game and not play Peter Yan's, and not get caught up in a fisticuff war, because he won't win that fight. Best for him is to take Peter Yan down, control him, and submit him, because he's good at his submissions. His jiu-jitsu is not that bad, and his wrestling, like I say, is top tier. But he's speedy though, isn't he, Aljamain?
Can you see him doing it? Can he beat him? A lot of people, I just read what people say online and stuff that, Peter Yan, they seem to think, some people seem to think he's indestructible.
No. I think at this very point in time, the bantamweight's probably at its lowest. Your Dominic Cruz's, we'll get onto in a bit.
Yeah.
His reign's gone now. You've got you've got Cody Garbrandt. I think Cody Garbrandt dropped division now, hasn't he? TJ Dillashaw is back, he doesn't warrant a title shot next. I think it's a toss-up. Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan at the moment are by far better than everybody else. And then you've got Sanhagen, Dillashaw in that that sort of circle.
Corey Sandhagen's a good hand as well. It's not bad. He's not a bad fighter. What I've seen.
I put him against TJ Dillashaw because I wouldn't give Dillashaw an immediate title shot. That would be a fight you'd make.
I could see that. I could see Dana and Sean Shelby definitely going for that further down the line. Right. Yeah. We will touch upon Sunday's main event when we come back after this break, highlighting Powered 4 on demand and what they provide.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Millie McKenzie! She is at least 5 sandwiches short of a picnic. Casey Owen! Casey
A fantastic array there of some of the top wrestling promotions from the UK, the US. So much on offer at Powered 4 TV. Sign up, subscribe. I highly recommend it. Right. Sunday's main event, the big one. Israel Adesanya. We've spoken about this the previous 2 weeks. He is stepping up. He's going up the weights. He is dominated at middleweight. He is going up to light heavyweight to go and face Polish Power, the second coming of Polish Power behind Ivan Putski. Jan Blachowicz. What a step up. This is what we've been looking for John Jones to do for years, going up from light heavy to heavyweight. Adesanya taking the bull by the horns, and he's got a real tough test this coming Saturday night. What are you thinking on this one, Chris? Where do you see this one going?
One way. Absolutely one way.
Izzy for the win.
I think Izzy has got the skill set to trouble Jan, absolutely trouble him. He's never going to, I don't think he's going to knock him out, but I think the speed and the timing and the array of different strikes that Alexander can send Jan Bovic way, it's going to be too much for him. You could say I've watched against Rockhold and I watched against Dominic Reyes with Jan Blachowicz. Very good at coming out the clinch and then coming over. And that's how he beat them both. But he's slow. And he likes, people to fight the slow pace. You're not going to get a slow pace. I don't think it'd be stupid either. You look at the Yoel Romero fight. He took a couple of strikes in that, didn't he? And he thought, nah, all right, I'll come from the outside and start just leg kicking him. It's not going to be a people pleaser. Izzy might not go for the people pleaser sort of fight, and he might have to deal with some boos. But it gets him the win. It gets him the win. I just think he's too good for Jan Blachowicz, and that's no disrespect to Jan, because at the end of the day, he's done really well. But Alessander's just up.
You can look at Izzy, you can look at Adesanya and say, well, he's a bit, he's braggadocious, but at the end of the day, his confidence and the fact he's going up, Chris, I think it's fantastic. It's great. It's great for the UFC. It's great for the fans. Some people might find them a bit, too much maybe, but he believes in what he's doing, and he's going to be the elite fighter. I think when they put that pound for pound up, I would have to say he's going to be. With a win Saturday, Sunday, it's going to propel him. He'll be the top pound for pound. He's got to be, surely.
No, because you've still got Khabib, haven't you? Khabib hasn't officially relinquished that title, has he?
I know he hasn't, but take Khabib out of the equation just because he's
more active. You mean more like active fighting?
Just because he's inactive. Yeah, Khabib, you can't. absolutely. If he's active, I can't say that about Izzy. But yeah, it must surely he and then it's got to be John Jones is going to go up to heavyweight, but surely Izzy's going to want John Jones off the back of this.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, probably. But I don't think you're going to get John Jones coming down straight away. I mean, have you seen what he looks like on Instagram? John Jones looks ripped, like he's put a lot on. It'd be too much for him now to say, Izzy wins the title. John Jones maybe wins the title, depending on obviously how it goes. I can't see him cutting all that weight to come back down. Maybe if John Jones and Izzy both defend their division's titles for a couple of more fights, then you can maybe see next year, late next year, going into 2023, maybe that can come about. I don't think you can rush this. I think you can let this cook and let them have their shit, and then when the time is ready, put it together. I wouldn't rush this because I think it's a good steaming point between them. And if one wins the former title and then the other wins the heavyweight title, the story's brilliant there. And I think it's let it cook for a while.
It'd lend itself to, because obviously Los Angeles Raiders are now Las Vegas Raiders. They've got that big stadium in Vegas. And obviously once they can get a full capacity, whenever that'll be, I'm sure Dana will probably look to have that fight there. I would assume Izzy and John Jones.
The T-Mobile Arena, is it?
No, the big NFL stadium in Vegas. Las Vegas took the Raiders franchise, didn't they? They left LA, so you've got that stadium now in Vegas. Massive.
Reminds me of the scene of basketball when they're all just changing different continents. Well, they are looking at the T-Mobile for Dustin and Conor free. They are. It's not 100% cert, but they're looking at International Fight Week for the third fight. But they haven't mentioned if it's going to be a title on the line. Apparently, Khabib's meant to be meeting Dana at some point again. It's got to be a point where this has got to be, the title's got to be on the line. Surely for Dustin at least.
I just think it's very tough at the moment because they can't get in the stadiums to capacity, and it's hard because it's just stalling everything. Boxing, the big fights that we want to see, but hopefully we can get that over the line. I think because the card on Saturday is so vast, and there's obviously Dominic Cruz is fighting on it as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's coming back. Was that short notice, him coming on the card? Because I didn't know about that until
no. That was it. He was placed in the prelims, yeah.
Just because I'm so used to him doing, the analysts, the analysing, the punditry side, doing the commentary, and I didn't realise until you told me the other day. I thought it was like a short notice thing to add it to the card.
Well, I didn't. I knew he was on the card, but I didn't realise. I thought he'd be on the main five, the main card. But when I was going through the card the other week, when I spoke to you about it, and I was like, why is he on the prelims? I know he's headlining the prelims. But this is a guy that's come from, title shot main event or being around the main event for since his WEC days, and then going into UFC. Crazy, and it's a lot for him to put on the line. Personally, because Chris Skelly's, he's a good fighter. He fought Nathaniel Wood in his last fight, which I don't know. I didn't agree with the unanimous decision. I thought Nathaniel Wood was better in my eyes. Yeah, I did. But, it's one of them, and that's what happens when you leave it in the hands of the judges, as Dana White, always tells us. But he's a good fighter, and he's up and coming. So, to me, it's a fight that not a lot of people in Dominic Cruz's shoes would have taken. He could have easily said, no, I'm not fighting the prelims. I'm better than that. But no, he's got a point to prove, and maybe that's a good thing, because then I always look at now is if Dominic Cruz wins, and this is a fantasy for me now, yeah, I like to have Dominic Cruz and Frank Edgar fight. That's just off the top of my head. If he was to win, just dreaming, it's just a fight I think would be excellent. But he's got a tough fight, against Chris Skelly, and we'll see where Dominic Cruz is after losing to Henry Cejudo. Whereabouts he can go, because at the end of the day he could lose and then retire because he's had a lot of injuries.
I also think, but this in and out, doing commentary in and out. Does that affect Dominic Cruz? And he was fantastic. He achieved so much over the years. But what are your thoughts on being in and out of it, being active, then inactive, being a pundit, going back in the cage, does that have an effect? Does that play into Skelly's hands?
No, because remember when Henan Barrow was the champion at bantamweight, and Dominic Cruz was out for 2 years, and TJ Dillashaw upset the card, didn't he? And broke Henan Barrow's winning streak, and then Dominic Cruz came back after 2 years, 2-year layoff, and looked fantastic. So if that's not going to bother you, sitting ringside and being an analyst wouldn't be a problem either. If anything, I think it helps read the game better, IQ wise.
Who else on the card? There's other fights. Whatever fight you're looking forward to, just to close out on this one. We'll pick. We've got time, mate. We're on time here. Whichever fight.
We'll pick 3 here. We'll go for Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. Islam Makhachev is 18-1. Drew Dober is 23-9. Islam Makhachev, as everyone will know, is a training partner of Khabib. He's highly sought after. They have a lot of respect, and I think he's the next one after Khabib to push to take control of a division. I'd say it's a tough fight for him because Drew Dober is gritty, and will get in there and amongst it all and make it really hard.
The alarming thing for me is he's 23-9. Do we need to read too much into his record? And we've lost him right at the crucial moment. I just to reiterate what Chris is saying. Are you back, Chris? Chris?
Oh yeah, but I don't know what happened then.
I know. I was just blocked. You went, mate. Right, back to it. I just said to you, Drew Dober 23-9 against Makhachev. That's alarming. How many losses he's had to me? I know people have had like as many wins as losses in the UFC and had a fight and won. But I find that I think he's had too many losses to be going up a guy, one of Khabib's guys. It's he's well respected, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's a good test to see where Makhachev goes. I think Drew Dober is, like I said, he's a gritty, and he's another hard fight. I wouldn't say he's one of them where he's a gatekeeper, but it's a good test to see where Makhachev goes in their division. And he's a really durable fighter, Makhachev. You can see a lot of shades of Khabib in there, but different as well. I can see why you would go for Islam Makhachev over Drew Dober.
It's just that's a lot. That's not knocking the guy. He's fighting in the elite. He's fighting in the best organization in the world. It's just. Have you got one more? Have you got one more on there off there? I think you said you had 3 to cover on the main card.
Well, it's up to you. We can. You can either go Joseph Benavides or we can go Thiago Santos.
Go Thiago Santos because that's main card, isn't it, as well?
Okay, so Thiago Santos is facing Alexander Rakic. Rakic is 13-2. Thiago Santos is 2-8 and is coming off a 2-fight loss. Well, a 2-fight losing streak, basically.
So Rakic is your favourite off the back of that, or does Santos get back on the winning trail off the back of two skids?
Well, Rakic dismantled Anthony Smith in the unanimous decision in his last fight. And then I don't think Anthony Smith's looked great since John Jones fought him because Glover Teixeira brutalized him in their fight. Thiago Santos had his injury, didn't he, in the John Jones fight and blew his knee, his ACL, his MCL, didn't he? And then he came back and lost to Glover Teixeira as well. So maybe it's just a John Jones factor. You go up against someone that elite and, you lose your mentality at the time. It's a good fight for both of them. Because it's where do you both stand now? It could go anywhere because Santos could knock you out and so can Rakic. Rakic. Yeah. So it's a very important fight, I suppose, for their careers and which way they're going in that one.
That's cool, man. That was well surmised. And we're going to come away from that now because we've had some news, and it concerns us in the UK actually. Dan Hardy, who hasn't fought, I can't remember the last time Dan Hardy fought.
Oh, I can tell you.
Go on. You've jotted it down.
Dan Hardy last fought the 29th of September 2012.
Wow. So why now? Matt Brown's been active. for so long. He hasn't stopped. Why does Dan Hardy feel 9 years later it's time to, put the headset down, come off commentary, do all his media side and go back in the cage? Why has he made that choice?
Because one, he's a fighter, isn't he? And it must kill him sitting there. And he's great, one of the best analysts out there.
He is pound for pound. Brilliant. He's pound for pound at the media people commentating all that side. He's been fantastic for well over. He's probably been doing it how long now? 8 years.
4 years. Maybe 8 years. It's hard to sort of remember, isn't it? Because there's so many fights. At the year. No, his last fought, like I said, in September 2012. But the funny thing is with the whole Matt Brown story, and I was reading a lot about it today, because obviously I had to sort of remember everything with Dan Hardy. He was supposed to fight Matt Brown in March 2013. And that's obviously when his Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome came into play.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. I did forget about that, Chris, to be fair. So yeah, I remember that happening. I remember that all coming out in the press. But on the flip side, mate, Dan Hardy, you showed me an article. There's Nate Diaz in the mix as well, isn't there, potentially?
No, Nick
Diaz.
He's called Nick. But
I thought it was Nate Diaz.
You said both both Diaz brothers, but I probably wouldn't say Nate's probably a good fight for him at the moment because Nate's very active. Well, the thing is, like today, he tweeted that Matt Brown's got an opponent, which is Douglas Lima's brother. It's a good fight for Matt Brown, and I was like, well, okay, what's next? And then he calls out and goes, where's Nick Diaz at? Or sorry, where's Nicholas Diaz at? Any promotion, any time. I just want to fight. And I was like, that's a good call out. But then Matt Brown's got back to him and calls him out saying, let's go July the 4th, which is International Fight Week. So
it's also Independence Day. That's Gary Palmer's birthday. That's why Dad's called Gary. It's the US Independence Day. There we go. Sorry,
Independence Day.
I've cut you off and started speaking about my dad there when we're talking about fight. But yeah,
no, don't worry about it.
I think can I just say that obviously Dan Hardy. Now Mike Bisping gets said he's on a pedestal. He was the pioneer for us, especially in the more modern times of UFC, and he got a lot of plaudits. But I think Dan Hardy, he fought GSP, he fought for the title. I know he went on a 4-fight skid after that, but after that 4 losses on the bounce, he then had 4 wins. He did redeem himself, Dan Hardy, and I think he should be held in fighting terms as much as he's great media commentating and stuff. I think he should be held on a pedestal up there. I know Bisping got the title. I get all that. I think Dan Hardy was a pioneer in his own right as well. What he did for UK MMA as well. You always wanted to watch him fight. He wasn't exciting. I was there versus Carlos Condit at the O2. And it was just a case of who landed first was going to win the fight.
It was, yeah.
So he was unlucky. It was good they were both striking. Condit was just more accurate. It landed. That was brutal to see, though. Live and in person. The whole energy just sapped out the building when he planted him and he wasn't getting back up.
Well, he's called for it in London, but obviously they're not going to do July the 4th in London. But I think for Matt Hardy, whatever, just get in there and see what it's about. Because I was speaking to Aaron about this, and he's the one that posted me the picture about it originally before I sent it to you. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I was like, "But what do we know? What he's been doing outside commentary and doing analysts? I'd imagine he's working hard in his training, and he's still going to Nottingham and I'd imagine his fight IQ, and everyone said this, imagine his fight IQ now, sitting and analysing everything, must be through the roof.
He went out before his fight career, he was out with monks training years before, Dan Hardy. Yeah. He was out, he did all sorts of stuff, but yeah, I just think it's too long out the game to then go back in. And Matt Brown has been active. I want Dan Hardy. I'd love Dan Hardy to do it, but I just think it's too long out the game, in my opinion. And I love him. Possibly. I love him. One of my favorite fighters. I would put him in my top 5 MMA fighters.
I don't know, because you say about Matt Brown. Matt Brown hasn't fought for a good couple of years before he fought Condit the other month.
That was a good fight. That was a good fight, that as well. To be fair, that was decent. Yeah.
Two old school fighters going at it. You know what I mean? Dan Hardy could have called it out and had a rematch for that. It's interesting. It's a storyline that I'll follow, and I think I'd like to see him fight again if it's just a one-off. And I imagine it would be just a one-off. I can't see him fighting again after this. MMA itself has evolved. It's not just like how he used to. Is control the octagon. He's a bit like Peter Yan in that way, where he control the octagon and he take against the fence and hit you really hard. Dan Hardy was really good at that, the strike-wise. But he learned better, and against Emilio Sadollah, his last fight, he learned to mix everything up. His wrestling,
rather than
control.
He was very particular for standing, wasn't he, and banging,
striking.
Yeah.
The usual British fighter, they could strike, but they couldn't defend a takedown. But he got better at it, and he was really good at this last fight.
That's good. That's well summarised. That I hope it gets made. I just worry for him the length of time he's been out. But thank you.
Fine.
We've had loads of comments. This evening. Frankie, my good friend over in America, I think he's New York. Frankie's New York. I'm sure he is. He's just turned around and said, "I miss Anderson Silva."
Right. Okay. Which version of Anderson Silva did you miss?
I'm sure he means previous to losing to Chris White. That was
that ruined my day. That did. Anderson Silva was an absolute legend. You can watch a lot of his stuff on YouTube, all the way from when he fought in Pride Cage Warriors against, well, everyone will know who this is. I hope they do. Lee Murray. He fought Lee Murray. Lee Murray's obviously with a bank heist over in England.
Why do they do this? These fighters, they go and do
but Lee Murray was a bit tapped. But Lee Murray was a really good fighter, and he did fight one fight in UFC as well.
Why turn to criminality? It's happened so many times. Like, it's just, I know they like to fight and all the rest of it, and it's crazy. Not everyone, but you've heard it time and time again. They go, and
he couldn't.
Sorry, no, you carry on. I was just going to say about some more comments. Go on.
Anderson Silva is a living legend. The only problem I have with Anderson Silva now is he tarnished his legacy by carrying on, and then I think more so is getting caught with PEDs, which really made people think, how long were you on them before? I like to think he wasn't, because I was a big fan of Anderson Silva, watching him against Forrest Griffin, just taking his time and then slipping, bang. Everything he did was amazing. Belfort, the front kick to the face. Listen to Joe Rogan lose his mind. I lost my mind. Everyone lost their mind. He was a pioneer that set the likes of Izzy and John Jones, where you can see a lot of similarity there.
We've got the two. We've got, obviously, Rich. Rich has put all the graphics in, does a great job every week. One of the boss men from Powered 4. We've also got John Scott in the comments. John Scott's watching. I'm on my best behaviour, John, by the way. And he's asking, stupid question. No, it's not a stupid question, John, actually. Where does Fedor rate with you guys overall in MMA? I'll let you start, Chris. I've got my opinions on Fedor.
Okay, so Fedor, the last emperor, the beast, he top athlete, probably one of the best pound for pound fighters. He got bums, but that wasn't it.
He's gone again.
His fight, when he was fighting, unstoppable. No, I'm back. I'm here.
Right, okay, carry on.
He was unstoppable, and he did fight the Vandelli. He did fight the Vandellis. So he didn't fight Philander. He fought the Nogueiras. He fought what he could. I don't think Pride ever gave him the best fights, because some of the fights you can find on YouTube, and he's fighting, 7-foot bloody monsters. There was no need for that. But yeah, he fought the best of the best. I'd love to see him in UFC. And I would love to see him against Cain Velasquez when Cain Velasquez was on his sea level at the time.
That's cool. I just think, I know it was timing and things. I would have loved to have seen him in the UFC. I know he was with Strikeforce, wasn't he? He was in Strikeforce.
Yeah, but he didn't get big fights. You know what I mean?
No, but why didn't they make a play for him? Was it because he'd had all those fights years before and his time was? Why did it never materialize? Was it politics outside the cage?
There's a company called M1 Global, Russian.
I remember. Yeah.
They had him. They owned his rights basically, and every time UFC approached, and they'd get close to it, they'd want to do a split event. Well, obviously UFC are never going to split event doing M1 Global and UFC. They're not going to do that.
No.
And at the end of the day, it never happened because they were close to doing Fedor and Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar was the champion.
See John Scott's comment there following up. What you take away from that John's saying?
That was against Kevin Randleman, that was. He just picked him up and dropped him on his head.
The boss that I hope we've made the boss man happy, with these.
Yeah, that was against Kevin Randleman. He just picked him up and dropped him on his head. It was like did you think back when Austin Owen with that spike power drive and the neck went down? It's pretty much how Fedor went down with that. Terrible. But he still got up and knocked him out after the fight. After that. He's a true legend, Fedor. It's just a shame we never saw him against people he should have fought. That's
cool, man. Do you know what? I've enjoyed having some comments in the mix. That's what we want. That's what we want.
About
people.
Time.
Get your comments in. It's not just about me and Chris. We want you guys to have a forum as well. Everyone's got a different point of view. We're all fans at the end of the day. Fighters, I know people in MMA. Come in, give us some enlightenment about how it is, But that closes out everything for UFC. Our feature, we have a weekly feature every week to close out, and we're going back to boxing, and we're going to the documentary that was on Sky. It was a Sky Originals. It was Bruno versus Tyson, and I've been waiting for weeks. They did the teaser trailer. It was so well done. It was absolutely fantastic. A lot of old footage. There was a lot to it. Paul Dempsey, I think it was old narration from Paul Dempsey that they'd maybe taken from Sky because it was talking about Bruno when he had the title and stuff like that. But man, incredible. And I think, Bruno was a national treasure, and you got to see that, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, you mean after I suppose this will be a spoiler now, but I'd imagine people know the results from the first fight by now, right?
It was 1989. By the way,
yeah, we were, we nappies at that point.
Yeah.
You could see after his loss, people loved him. You had people. In the documentary, like a lady said, "I don't like boxing, but I love Frank Bruno."
Yeah, he polarized it. And as I can't remember who was talking about it exactly. They said boxing was terrible in the 80s, but Bruno came in around that time, and it was perfect timing. People liked it, and he raised the profile. He raised the profile, absolutely.
Popping on those house party as well. That was a blast from the past.
He did all the theatre side and stuff. That was just, some people laughed about it, but at the end of the day, the bloke wanted to do it. But getting back to it, I think just touching upon Tyson, obviously Cus D'Amato adopted him. It looked like, it was off the mean streets, wasn't he, in Brooklyn, in the Catskills area. And, you are a product of your environment. Cus was obviously, of age whereby he was never going to live forever. And I think that the shocking bit was that Tyson went off the rails there, didn't he, with the rape allegations, and he got charged for it. It was Cus D'Amato dying. But, Cus D'Amato was probably in his 70s at the time, so he was never going to be forever. But it was just, it was sad to see that he slipped into that, and crime became a factor in his life because he was the most powerful boxer going at the time.
Yeah. It's slip and rip, and it's ducking from left to right. You won't see any other fighter move as fast as Mike Tyson. And you see videos now, don't you? When he's showing off, he's still fast, but obviously not back in those that he is now. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it was a scary, scary dude. But then you have Frank Bruno who just thought, fuck it, straight and took him on.
In terms of personalities, they're both there to fight. They were polar opposite. That's what sold it.
Yeah.
I mean, they sparred. You heard Tyson. I sparred him. I was 15. He was 20.
Yeah.
They knew each other, didn't they? It was only a matter of time. I think they knew even then there was going to be a collision course. But the thing is, Tyson's outside the ring life. If he hadn't crashed that car, the first fight it might be 88. It should have been 88, maybe 89. It was meant to be in Wembley. And I think Bruno, I'll maintain this. He was very close in the fight. He hurt him. He just didn't have He didn't have that killer instinct. Big teddy bear, wasn't he? He was powerful. But I think if that fight had been at Wembley, had Tyson not been in that car crash, I really do believe Bruno might have won that. With 80, 90,000 behind him.
I've got up to the point where he's just beat Ian McCall, right? My bad, I should have watched this earlier. But one of the guys was saying that Frank Bruno his cardio wasn't great in big fights. That's what the...
Yeah, I think he was carrying the weight, wasn't he? But it's just like, also I've got to touch upon it actually. You know, he shouldn't have been fighting when he came back. He fought Lennox Lewis and all that. It was the damage to his retina, and they told him not to fight. He carried on, didn't he? Okay, he got the title fight with Oliver McCall. He had his swan song, so we believed, at Wembley. Won the world title. I think that's when they should have said, like, that's it. But you know, Tyson came a knocking. He was out of prison. He was out of prison.
And he wanted a fight.
And it was a mismatch because he was chomping at the bit because he'd been incarcerated. Bruno should never have took that fight. He didn't have to take it. He'd done everything. He won the world title after losing in world title fights how many times? But that's the fight. Sorry, you go. God, sorry, it's the fighter's mentality, isn't it, Chris? That.
Yeah, of course it is. Look at Michael Bisping. Fought how many fighters with one eye? They want to prove something.
I definitely implore people, if you haven't seen it, if you've got Sky in the UK, I'm sure they're going to get it in America. I don't know which company will be running it, which broadcaster. But yeah, it's on Sky Documentaries now. It's a Sky Documentaries original. It's Bruno B. Tyson. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best boxing documentaries I've seen. I've seen many over the years. So this is episode 2, wrapping up. Thank you very much for today, Chris, with all the analysis. Covering this for UFC 259, 259, however you want to say it. And I've enjoyed it again. Fantastic episode. Thank you to Rich for pumping the graphics in. We appreciate it. Thank you to John Scott, all the support, Powered 4 TV, on demand. Just everything on there, everything you need, all the promotions, wrestling, podcasts. There's all sorts for you there on demand on Powered 4. We're Big Fight Weekly, and we'll see you 6 p.m. next Tuesday, UK time.
Ciao.
There's one man with potentially a better winning record than Cara Noir. What? He's cashing in. Cara Noir does not look happy, does not look comfortable right now. For the first time in his title reign, I think Cara Noir feels like he is facing a legitimate threat right now. Something Smooth is ready for this.
Very ready. He's encouraging him to ring the bell. And there is the bell.
Cara Noir looks... TJ, I don't think I've ever seen Cara Noir look this uncomfortable in the ring
ready.
before. Oh! He refused to say he was ready to... Now he's ready. Now he's ready.